All right, joining us now is Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Appropriations Committee member and the former DSNY chair, of course. You brought a veteran as your guest to the president's speech this week. Are you at all reassured in any way by the president saying Elon Musk does not get the final say about these layoffs, especially as it relates to the VA?
Not remotely, Christina, and thanks for having me on to spotlight this. I think this important fact should sink in for everyone. Donald Trump, in his first month in office, has fired more veterans than any president in history. I mean, this is while the VA is in the midst of ramping up to serve millions of veterans who now are entitled to PACT Act health care benefits because they were exposed to toxins during their service, thanks to President Biden and congressional Democrats. And on top of that, just the other day, a senior advisor of his actually defended the firings, saying that there are some veterans that don't deserve their jobs. Now they're doubling down, and they're planning to fire more than 80,000 veterans, as you said, 80,000 VA employees. And how is it possible that they're going to not cut health care benefits and be able to provide those PACT Act benefits that we promised them and the kind of service that we promised veterans when they return home? They won't be able to, and it is the most disrespectful, egregious, outrageous decision that is going to be devastating for veterans' families. And they've also fired veterans across the federal government. They're at 6,000 and counting. We're going to do everything we can to stop them.
And there has been, over the years, bipartisan criticism of the VA not responding fast enough, not being able to serve veterans' needs. And there's been a bipartisan effort to ramp it up. You can't help but think this is going to impact operability and some of those shortened wait times that they have been able to succeed. But I also want to ask you, we've got the new jobs numbers out today, and they're showing job growth was weaker than expected last month, but fairly stable. Do you think the economy can withstand the uncertainty of what's going on, especially when it comes to tariffs? What are your constituents telling you? What are you hearing from consumers who are already starting to pay more for everyday goods?
Well, we're obviously in the middle of a Trump-inflicted recession, certainly headed towards one. That same jobs report was preceded by the report that we're actually employers are cutting more jobs than have been created. I mean, so we're going in the wrong direction. On top of President Trump campaigning and saying he was going to make life more affordable and cut prices on day one, he's not done that. Instead, he's made things more expensive by imposing tariffs and then made it the economy even more uncertain and erratic by the on-again, off-again tariffs, which are obviously because he can't stand the political fallout, which is obvious from how much the cost of an automobile in this country would go up with those tariffs. So there's a reason that the stock market is plummeting, that prices are going up, that the economy is on very uncertain ground, that people are losing their jobs. He's cutting hundreds of thousands of jobs, hurting our families and affecting the health, well-being, and quality of life for people across America. And that's what this is really all about and what we're fighting to protect.
Well, and talking about, government programs that people have come to depend on, you've got a big fight ahead with the Republican budget and the debt ceiling. And the CBO came out this week and said that Republicans would have to cut Medicare and Medicaid to get to that $1 trillion in cuts number. Social Security could also potentially be a target down the road for either Trump or Elon Musk or whoever's actually making these cuts. So my question to you is, what can Democrats do to stop these potential cuts?
There's no question, and now CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, the independent office, has confirmed that the amount of targeted cuts that the Republican budget that they passed with by one vote is clear, that they have to deeply cut Medicaid, they're going to have to cut Medicare. They're definitely going to be cutting Social Security because they're planning to fire half of the Social Security employees. How are Social Security beneficiaries going to get served if that happens? What Democrats are doing are aligning with our nonprofit organizations as lawsuits are being filed. We're going to use all the tools in our tool belt legislatively to try to stop them when these bills come to the floor. They're going to have to put some of these bills on the floor when they go through the implementation of the budget through reconciliation. So with our votes, with our voices, with our ability to align ourselves with court lawsuits, and then obviously making sure that we can marshal our constituents and to push back, and Republicans' constituents to push back, because they are gravely harming our veterans, our seniors, our students, our educators, our the patients who desperately need health care. They're devastating the economy, and all in the service of one goal. They're trying to make sure that they can make enough room so they can give massive tax breaks to the wealthy millionaires, billionaires, and corporations. And that's the last thing that people signed up for when they voted for this president.
All right. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Christina.